Welcome, everybody, to the Borneo Conservation Talks, where we are inviting so many interesting conservation heroes, individuals, organizations who are doing amazing work here on Borneo in Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei, and Kalimantan. We have had topics on rhinos, on crocodiles. So today we'll be having a very interesting session on fish bombing by our very good friend here, Terence Lim. Welcome, Terence Lim.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
So, Terence, could you explain a little bit about yourself to the audience?
Well, my name, as you introduced yourself earlier on, my name is Terence Lim. I run an organization called Stop Fish Bombing. So we are basically a technology provider where we have sensors in the water listening to fish bomb. A little background, we started back, officially started back somewhere around 2015.
Happy 10 years.
Yes, 2015. So we started with a test of technology from a company or an organization called Shot Spotter, but they are now known as Sound Thinking from the US. So their technology is used to detect gunshots in the cities. So the idea behind it is that when somebody is shot, they will not be able to call for help. So this is where the detection comes in, where they can inform the local enforcement if any gunshots were detected, and they can triangulate the location of the gunshots so that an officer can respond accordingly to that location. So with that, we kind of tried out the technology if it can be used to detect fish bomb underwater. 2015, we did some trials out here in Kota Kinabalu of Sepangga Island, and it was proven that yes, the technology can be used to detect fish bomb and triangulate the location of the fish bomb. Not only just triangulate, but also provide the location in real time. Real time here means less than 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 seconds. So that's where, with what we are doing with the technology. And 2019, we started to deploy some of the sensors out in Kota Kinabalu and then in Semporna. Then COVID came and everything slowed down. And then we pick up somewhere in 2021.
Okay, so before we further go into Kota Kinabalu and Semporna, to some of our friends out there who actually may not know what fish bombing is, could you just explain in layman terms what is fish bombing, who is doing it, why are they doing it, is it actually legal or illegal, and why is it so popular?
That's actually a fantastic question. See, fish bombing is actually a method of fishing using explosive. So the background of this comes right after the Second World War, when there's a lot of leftover ordnance from the war. And it was quite rampant, especially in our neighboring country, in the Philippines. They use all the leftover ordnance and make them into makeshift bombs. But that kind of evolved into a more simplified kind of material that they use. So nowadays they mainly use fertilizer, ammonium nitrate. Actually, any nitrate is actually a component for an explosive. So they basically use fertilizer, put it into a bottle, seal it with a blasting cap and a fuse, light up the fuse, and then just throw it into the water, and then you have an explosion. So the explosion is, the shock wave from the explosion is the one that kills or stuns the fish. But at the same time, it also damages reef, breaks the coral, and also other microscopic marine life that actually is the so-called food triangle. Actually, when a fish bomb occurred, it's not only what we see, visualized as what is damaged, but it's also very likely the whole ecosystem is wiped out, including the microorganism that is supposed to be supporting the whole ecosystem. So how rampant it is? It is very rampant. As I said, it started right after the Second World War. It has been ongoing until today. But luckily, with the technology that we have and the location where we deployed our sensors, the number of fish bomb has reduced. Not totally stopped, reduced, and at the same time also they have moved away from the sensors.
You mean after World War II, all over Borneo, Brunei, Sarawak, Kalimantan, Sabah, or is it predominantly Sabah?
So it's actually more towards in the Philippines where there was a lot of leftover ordnance. So that knowledge of fish bombing has somehow or other made its way into our water, our land here.
East Coast.
Yeah, East Coast to Sabah. And once it came into Sabah, it started to spread all over. Actually, it's quite rampant. It's all over the world, actually. It's not only in Borneo or Sabah or in the Philippines. As far off in Tanzania, in South America, they are recorded fish bombing.
Yeah, because you see, I'm not a marine guy. I'm a jungle guy. However, when I go snorkeling with my friends from abroad, it's so sad when I go and see all these corals which have been damaged and destroyed. And of course, this could be because of tourism, perhaps people stepping on them in boats. But a lot of people have told us, no, some of these things have been because of fish bombing as well.
Exactly. So when a fish bomb occurs, when corals are damaged, so it doesn't have a base for it to reproduce. It's not only that it doesn't die immediately. The main epicenter of the explosion, yes, that most of the coral might have disintegrated already. But the fragment of coral within the fringes of the blast radius, they're actually still alive. They're still alive. So there is an opportunity for us to come and rescue and save the coral actually. Because there's no effort and because we don't know where the fish bomb has occurred. So this exercise cannot be done because we don't know where the fish bomb has occurred. So that's why a lot of coral, when it left in the sea bottom, they start to roll around with the wave motion and so on. Then eventually they cannot grow and they die, and that's why we call all this coral rubble.
So what you're basically saying is, fish bombing destroys coral. But with your technology, once you know if there's a coral damage, you can actually try to save some of those damaged ones quickly.
Exactly.
Because if you're too late, it's gone.
Exactly. So the technology is not only can be used to sort of stop fish bombing, but actually can be used also to rescue coral that has been damaged by fish bombing. So there is an opportunity for us here to try and revive the blast site before it becomes a rubble.
Well, where are the hotspots right now in Sabah for fish bombing?
Actually, they're all over, but mostly are mainly around north of Sabah, around off the islands of Bangi, Belambangan, even just off Kota Kinabalu here. Once in a while, we do get report of fish bomb.
I'm sure the divers report to you.
Yes, we do. We have our own WhatsApp group, so we all communicate with each other, and that WhatsApp group is also linked directly to the Marine Police. So whenever somebody reports a fish bomb, they will put it into that group, and the Marine Police will come and respond.
Is the Marine Police, Sabah Parks, Forestry, are they quite cooperative with you?
They are actually very cooperative with me. They are very. In fact, just last week I had a workshop in Semporna where we did we tried to introduce the technology as to how they can actually make use of the data that we provide. So the outcome from that was very positive, and they said that this is something that they can really use and help to mitigate or try to reduce the fish bombing activities.
Okay, and has the government deployed? I mean, I would consider yourself as an NGO or with limited funds and resources. Does the government pump in their own money to tackle this kind of issue?
Sadly, no. We have not had any funds internally from our local government yet. Funds are mostly coming in from outside the country.
Well, which is very sad. I mean, you have all this knowledge and expertise and experiences.
Yes, and not only that, we have an ability now to actually reduce fish bombing. Stopping, it's quite a challenge, but reduce, we can for sure definitely reduce the number. I'll just give you an example. And one of the area that we are concentrating in Semporna, where our sensor were deployed, in the early part, we have hundreds of fish bombs detected. As we engage ourselves and work closely with the local enforcement, provide the real-time information, the area that supposed to be quite rampantly bombed has now reduced to by 80%. So there's still periodical fish bomb activities happening, but it's definitely, there is a reduction to it.
I know this sounds like a common sense question. I'm just saying from a layman's perspective, maybe you've done it already. Even though you couldn't maybe get the funds, did you try to convince the government, say, hey, why don't you buy these equipments yourself and do it?
So we have come up with a few proposals with our local government. So we're still working on that. So fingers crossed, hopefully that we'll get some positive response from them.
Well, if I can be of help there, we will talk about that.
Oh, yes, for sure, definitely.
Fish bombers, who are they usually?
So
locals?
So the finger will immediately point towards non-locals.
Party.
Yes. So generally, everybody will point the finger to Bajau Laut, Filipino, and so on. But actually, once we start collecting the data, we start to realize that yes, they are the main culprit. However, there is a hierarchy in the whole system, meaning that they are sponsors, people that actually pay for them, financing them to go and fish bomb.
In a way, like a syndicate, basically.
It
a
is.
mafia.
It is. It is a very huge syndicate. Anything illegal is obviously is a syndicate, and fish bombing is definitely illegal.
So it's under the law in Sabah. Fish bombing is illegal.
100% illegal. You are. So we are trying to. The government a couple of years back actually try like improve or rewrite the law, the legal law, saying things. Now that you need to prove yourself innocent, not saying that you are innocent. Example, in the days before they updated the law, the penalty is that when you have a fish that is fish bomb with you, you can easily deny. You said, I don't know, I bought this from the market, I didn't know this was a fish bomb. But now you need to prove, why did you have a fish bomb fish in your possession?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like licensed fish permits, everything. Logs. Yeah. So has that happened?
Yes, it's happening. However, the law or this particular act is slowly, it's taking time for it to get in, but it is in place already.
Okay. And in the hotspots of this fish bombing and the places you are operating, have the local politicians been quite supportive of you, not so cooperative, or how is it?
Well, in general, everybody is supportive.
In general,
everybody is supportive. Because I don't see any reason for them not to support, because this is illegal. It is something that is going to be detrimental to the ecosystem and also to the tourism business in their area.
Yep, and travel companies are also giving you information and they cooperate with you.
I work very closely with all the dive centers all over, either in Semporna or in Kota Kinabalu. We work very closely with each other. They actually provide a lot of information also.
Well, that's very good to know. The travel industry and the companies and guides are very supportive of you as well. And okay, why are fish bombers fish bombing actually? What is causing them? Is it because more difficult fish, quick money? Is climate change involved? Or apart from syndicate, I know we understand there's a syndicate system, but what is actually the driving cause? Is it just poverty or just, hey, malasla? So just...
Actually, it is a very complex question to respond, because it depends on the individual. Let me go back to a little bit more into explaining a little bit more of what we understand as fish bomber. So fish bomber we can generalize them into three categories. The first category are those that want to feed the family. They have 4 or 5 children at home. They're desperate. They just want to quickly go and catch some fish and feed the family. So that's category number one. Category number two are those that are more of a syndicate, as we mentioned earlier on. So these are people that are involved in the whole village. They provide protection, provide financing, and these people go out and fish bomb. And then the third category, those guys are doing it commercially, where they have a mothership with 4, 5, 6 outriggers, and they go out and they blast the whole ocean, and then when they bring the fish, they bring it back into the mothership and they process the fish straight away. They gut it, remove the internal organ, because that's the telltale sign of a fish that is fish bomb, because the internal organ is going to be squashy or damaged. So when they gut it, clean it, and they put it into salt brine, and then later on it will be become dry fish. So that's the category. So we are quite confident that we are working with the authority. We can deal with the commercial guys and the guys that are the syndicated guys. But the individual that want to feed the family, that's going to be extremely challenging. Because when an individual is desperate, they want to feed the family, or they'll do anything. They'll do anything, exactly. So that's what I mean by we will have a challenge in trying to stop fish bombing 100%. It's because this particular individual group.
But if you can reduce by 90%, 99%...
we can definitely. And this particular individual group, the individual group, is the one that we need to look at. Definitely poverty, for sure. Why poverty? Their fishing ground has reduced. Commercial fishing has come in. normal fishing ground has been taken over by commercialization.
Trawlers, etc. Big or just big companies.
Big companies, tourism has come in and took over fishing ground, islands where they used to as their base to fish. Protection from gaslighting islands into marine parks.
Ooh. Because in marine parks you can't.
Exactly.
So they're being cornered.
Exactly. So all this kind of thing is putting pressure on this group, the individuals. They are now caught and trapped.
Are we looking into hundreds of these people?
Oh, there are thousands of them.
Oh, there are thousands. Because I was going to say, if it's only a dozen of people creating all this trouble, I'm sure we can find a job for them somehow.
Yes.
I'll hire one person, for example. But if there's thousands, this is a mega problem.
It is. And also now, if you talk about hiring them, we also have an issue with immigration because these people are not documented. They don't have any documents. So how do you hire them? If we hire them, or if a tour company or dive center hire them, would he be caught in any immigration act or law? So those are little gray area that need to be ironed out.
Yeah. So this is a very, very interesting perspective and knowledge which I have never known as well. Could you, before we change a few topics here and there, could you tell a little bit more about the equipments you're using?
Okay, the equipment basically.
And you have at the moment.
Yes. So basically, in very simple term, we can break it down into three major components. So always the power unit. The power unit is with solar. So we have solar panel and a battery, and then we have a little waterproof box which is on land. All the solar, obviously the solar is on land, and the waterproof box is on land. So inside the waterproof box, we will put the battery, the sensor board, the solar controller, and a modem for communication. And then a long cable that goes underwater. This is where the hydrophone is. So this is where it listens to the fish bomb. So the hydrophone goes underwater. When the fish bomb occurs, the hydrophone will pick up the waveform, and the system will automatically detect that particular frequency is a fish bomb, and they will send the signal to the server, and then they will try and look for all other sensors around if they heard the same fish bomb, and if they do, then the triangulation will come in.
And I'm sure all these equipments are costing you 20,000-30,000 USD maybe even, or more.
Well, it all depends on the length of the cable. The hydrophone cable, which is underwater, is the most expensive component. The hydrophone, the solar panel, batteries, they come up to roughly about 3,000 ringgit. Not that expensive. The hydrophone cable, which is a waterproof cable for underwater, marine proof, that's quite expensive, averaging between about 100 ringgit a meter.
Ooh, and you would need how many meters, I'm sure?
So our longest deployment was about 300 meters. And it's not single line, it's two lines because there's two hydrophones. So it's a stereo, left and right. So I know 600 meters.
Wow, I don't want to do the calculation.
So what we are trying, how to mitigate that also. So we look at location where there are jetties, piers. This is where the dive center, dive resort comes in. So we work with them. So we kind of request for permission for us to install on their jetty so that the length of the cable can be reduced significantly.
Do dive resort companies so far in Sabah, do they give even you money as well?
To be honest, I have not asked them directly. But they have always been very supportive and also in kind.
Whether it's using their boats?
Yes, either using their boats or just dropping by for while we are working. They'll provide some drinking water or meals and so on. They're very supportive.
Which is good. I understand your predicament. They're already nice. You don't want to maybe ask more and so on. Yeah. But it should be like a policy that if you want to call yourself an eco-travel company, right, or nature travel company, you should be contributing conservation. So even if the travel company is not doing conservation themselves, they should support an organization like this. Maybe they could buy not 600 meters of cables, they could buy 50 meters of cable because they can afford it, or even 30 meters,
Totally agree with you, Shavish. But at the same time also, I think the government need to come in also to give the support. So at least the tour operator, the dive resorts and so on sees that they actually, besides only supporting myself, stop fish bombing, the government is also at the back.
So far, when we mean by government, you also mean by, let's say, Ministry of Tourism, for example. Are they the rightful authority in this department, or is it marine? No. Is it fisheries?
It's fishery. So the rightful department is actually fishery department.
Okay.
Tourism is, as usual, it's tourism. So they are not.
But environmental is under them.
No, except if it's under the parks. If it's outside the parks, it
Oh.
falls under fishery.
Okay.
So fishery is the main custodian in terms of the act and the law that is already in place.
So we need the fisheries department more involved.
Oh yes, definitely. So we are talking in the fishery department also.
I hope you can convince them, and I hope you get more further support
Oh, thank you.
from fisheries and other departments as well. So, what do you think is next for stop fish bombing for you, for your organization, yourself, and how do you think Sabah and the government and the people and the locals can somehow find a solution? Do you see a light in the tunnel?
Yes, definitely. I need to be positive. Okay, if we all NGOs, we have to be very positive.
We have to be positive,
Yeah,
but we need to be realistic as well.
exactly. Exactly.
If we don't see the light in the tunnel, we have to say, I am positive, but there's no light.
So let me put it another way. We are trying to do the best we can, because if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, who's going to do it? So I need to be extremely positive about it. Even though I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I have to imagine there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so we continue pushing it. So that's what's driving me at the moment. There's no support from yet from our government. Doesn't matter. I will still drive this. So what do I see this in the future? The technology is already proven that it works.
And you have tested it in Sabah already?
Yes, it works. So we're trying to get Philippines, Indonesia, and other countries to kind of get involved in this. As usual, the pickup from technology is very slow, especially from the NGOs. So it takes a bit of time for them to pick up. But we do see that the challenge here is not only using the technology, it's also engaging with the local community. That's extremely key. And also the local enforcement team, either fishery, marine police, and so on. You see, these three components need to work together. Even if I have the most advanced technology at the moment, yes, but if I don't have the support of the local community and also the enforcement, it won't go anywhere. So it needs the support from all these components to come in so that we can drive this. So I give a very simple an example in Semporna. So we have been pushing this technology, we have been driving this with the local community on the island, and we've been having a lot of discussion with the marine police, and they're very supportive of this. One phone call now, the marine police will come.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It just shows that the technology is not only there to detect the fish bomb, but it actually tries to bridge the gap between communities and enforcement. And that's what I hope to achieve and continue to push that, so that once we take the technology component out, the community and enforcement are still working together.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And before we finish, do you have any final comments, feedback, or message to anybody?
Oh yes, I mean,
Well, anybody can be anybody. If it can be funders, can be your supporters, can be the local people, can be politicians, anybody.
I think my message is that yes, we have a fantastic technology. It is working. We know it works. We just now need to expand it. So at the moment, my area of focus is only Semporna. We know very well fish bombing is occurring all over Sabah, especially in the north of Sabah around the Tun Mustafa Marine Park. It will be fantastic if we can continue to expand the technology across to Tun Mustafa Marine Park. That's where the Holy Grail is, because that is our biggest marine park, 1 million hectares, and that's a lot of area to cover, and fish bombing is quite rampant in that location.
Well, thank you so much, Terence, and so much new things I learned today. And so everybody, I hope you all learned something new. This is a heavy topic as well. There's a man over here, he's trying his utmost best, to help out Sabah's reefs, and we all should give full support there. And thank you again for your precious time
You're
and
welcome.
knowledge. And so I hope you all learned something new. Stay tuned for the next episodes on these conservation related discussions we're having. So thank you very much, everybody.